I'm soaking through and through, and then you handed me a towel, and all I see is you. And even if my house falls down now, I wouldn't have a clue, because you're near me. And I want to thank you for giving me the best day of my life. And just to be with you is having the best day of my life. And I want to thank you for giving me the best day of my life. And just to be with you is having the best day of my life.
This is Nationwide 90 FM, owned and operated by Nationwide News Network. We broadcast from our studios at 6 Bradley Avenue, Kingston 10, Jamaica. Transmitting on the FM 90 band. 90.3 from Peters Rock in St. Andrew and Murphy Hill in St. Anne. Serving Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, St. Anne, parts of Clarendon, St. Mary, and St. Thomas. 90.5 from Huntley in Manchester, transmitting to St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Manchester, Clarendon, rural St. Andrew, and parts of St. Thomas. And 90.7 from Coopers Hill in St. Andrew and Flower Hill in St. James, serving Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, sections of Trelawney, Kingston, St. Catherine, Clarendon, St. Mary, Portland, and St. Anne. Nationwide 90 FM also broadcasts on the World Wide Web on nationwideradiojm.com and on Flow on channel 916. Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
6 o'clock.
From the studios of Nationwide Radio, morning radio the right way. It's Nationwide This Morning.
A very good morning to you. I'm Tona Thomas. Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning, Tuesday, June 4, 2024. Police warn against using unregulated app-based taxi services. Indicom says it's investigating the death of a detainee at the Chapelton Police lockup. Keith Clark's widow questions why no one else but her husband was shot and killed during joint police-military operation at her residence in May 2010. In regional news, St. Lucia says minimum wage will alleviate hardship for thousands. In international news, Modi's coalition leads in a majority of seats in India's early count of election ballots. In sports, Afghanistan beat Uganda at the ICC T20 World Cup. And in business this morning, Japan's government raids Toyota headquarters amid safety data scandal. The details after the break.
Building wealth the smart way means you have a clear mission for your money. Specific and measurable means defining the reason for your financial goals. Achievable and realistic means keeping those goals meaningful, yet attainable. Think more retirement, less world's richest. Timely means keeping a time frame in mind so that all efforts remain focused.
Visit barita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
Catch the first news of the day, a comprehensive package of local, international, sports, and business news. The news at 6 on Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime, Fitz Bailey, is advising members of the public against using ride-sharing companies until a regulatory framework is in place.
I think it's very dangerous. And if I were to advise the public, I would say stay away from those services for the time being until there are regulatory framework put in place to manage them. This is very risky, and I think I'll do some more follow-up with the authority, because we have to ensure, we have to safeguard our citizens from this level of exposure. We have to put in the right regulatory framework to manage, to prevent situation from what we suspect happened in this case from happening.
His advice follows the disappearance and suspected murder of 29-year-old primary school teacher Daniel Anglin. Miss Anglin was reported missing on Monday, May 13. She was last seen on her way to work sometime after 5 a.m. that day. Miss Anglin, who lives in Helsha St. Catherine, reportedly took an InDrive taxi. InDrive is an app-based taxi service. Skeletal remains believed to be those of Miss Anglin were found in Salt River, Clarendon on Monday. DCP Bailey says the police are awaiting a forensics report to confirm the identity of the remains. He says investigators are frustrated by the absence of a local representative from the ride-sharing company.
Even in our investigative process, we don't know who to contact. It's a concern that I have, and as I said, I have actually spoken to the minister, and I spoke to someone that works with the Transport Authority. There's mechanism, there's effort to ensure that there's some regulatory framework in place to treat with those type of services. I mean, we have to ensure that we have fit and proper vehicle and fit and proper person. When you consider your one's daughter, wife, any family member can take one of those services, and there's no guarantee who is behind the wheel.
DCP Fitzbailey, head of the JCF's crime portfolio, he was speaking during Nationwide at 5 on Monday. Meanwhile, DCP Bailey says a convicted sex offender is in custody in connection with Miss Anglin's disappearance.
The person was arrested and charged and convicted for sexual offenses in Jamaica as well as Antigua. In 2015, he was charged in Jamaica. I don't have the exact date for the Antigua offenses, but I know that he was charged and convicted and then deported back to Jamaica. He claimed to have known her, but we do not believe it based on our investigation. And when we look at the timeline, based on our investigation, we saw the movement of the vehicle at different locations. And based on the information we got from CFCD, it matches the time that we saw the movement of the vehicle from the location to Clarendon.
DCP Fitzbailey, head of the JCF's crime portfolio. And DCP Bailey says investigations are still underway into the disappearance and a suspected murder of dancehall artist Medic. Medic, whose registered name is Stephanie Williams, was reported missing on August 24, 2023. In February this year, the police found what they strongly suspect to be her skeletal remains in a cane field in Walden District, St. Catherine. DCP Bailey says the police are still awaiting forensic results.
I am also aware that the public is concerned about the investigation into the disappearance of Stephanie Williams, OC Medic. I just want to update the public that the investigation is actively being pursued. Some things were submitted to the lab and we are awaiting the result whilst we continue to pursue the investigation. We are confident that we'll ultimately bring this investigation to a closure. So I just want to, if I may say, bring some sense of, I don't know if it's consolation to the family or reassurance to the family and to the public that that investigation is actively being pursued and we intend to get to the bottom of this matter.
Fitzbailey, Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, says it's investigating the death of a detainee at the Chapelton Police lockup in Clarendon. The deceased is 33-year-old Rakima Bravo. He was taken into custody on June 1. Indicom says Bravo died inside the lockup on Monday morning. It's reported that at 3:15 a.m., police on duty heard unusual sounds coming from one of the cells. When the police went to investigate, Bravo was found with head injuries reportedly inflicted by other inmates. He was transported to the Mapen Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Indicom says it will be assessing if negligence was involved in the actions of the police personnel on duty. It says that 2 makeshift iron weapons were found inside the cell. Indicom says its office in Manchester will have oversight of the investigation. The Commission says that since January, it has been probing the deaths of 9 persons in custody. 3 of those deaths occurred at a police station and the other 6 at correctional institutions. Meanwhile, Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake has directed the JCF's Inspectorate and Professional Standards Branch to conduct an immediate probe into Bravo's death. The widow of businessman Keith Clark, Dr. Claudette Clark, on Monday questioned how no one else but her husband was shot and killed during a joint police-military operation at her residence in May 2010. This follows claims by the defense that gunmen were on her property firing shots at the police and soldiers. Dr. Clark is giving evidence in the Supreme Court against 3 soldiers accused of killing her husband. The soldiers are Lance Corporal Greg Tingling, Corporal Adele Buckley, and Private Arnold Henry. Robin Williams has been following the trial.
During cross-examination on Monday, Dr. Claudette Clark rejected claims from the defense that there were gunmen at her Upper Kirkland Heights residence in St. Andrew on May 27, 2010. Despite suggestions that gunmen were on her premises and in the basement, Dr. Clark maintained that only her husband, and her youngest daughter were at the house. Defense attorney Linton Gordon suggested that gunmen engaged the security forces in a shooting battle. To this, Dr. Clark said, quote, "I will repeat it 100,000,000 times. There was only me, my daughter, and my husband there. There was no one on the premises. I don't know them. I did not see them. I don't know where they came from." At this point, Dr. Clark questioned how no one was captured or shot during the ordeal. Mr. Linton submitted that Dr. Clark previously told the court that her husband returned fire with his licensed firearm. Dr. Clark testified that she heard it on the news that a soldier was shot during the operation. She added that based on that, she assumed her husband returned fire as she didn't see him doing so. She said, quote, "My husband left the room and went into another room with his firearm. I cannot say if he was firing shots because I did not see him firing." End quote. Mr. Linton suggested that Dr. Clark is making up a story. She responded, "I am not making up any story. I came here to give evidence because it was required of me. Anything that happened in here not going to bring back my husband, you know." Mr. Linton accused Dr. Clark of lying to justify how a soldier was shot after hearing it on the news. He submitted, "You adjusted the story to say he was protecting his family. You adjust your evidence and make up stories as you see fit. Stories you make up which change from time to time. You made them up to protect the reputation of your husband." She said, "I don't agree with you. I am not telling any lie. I lived it. I did not make up any story, sir. Nothing is going to bring back my husband. I didn't see him firing his firearm." Dr. Clark, who is the prosecution's first witness, has been on the stand for approximately 4 weeks. Her daughter, Brittany Clark, has now taken the stand. She will continue giving evidence when the trial resumes on Tuesday morning at 10. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
A disgrace to the nation. That's how political commentator Kevin O'Brien Chang described some civil society groups and their silence on controversial political issues. Mr. O'Brien Chang was speaking Monday on Nationwide at 5. Mahira Stewart has that story.
On Monday evening on Nationwide at 5, hosts Cliff Hughes and Ricardo Brooks, along with guests political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence and Kevin O'Brien Chang, recalled the dark and deadly days of Jamaica's recent political past. This discussion was sparked by recent incidents that took place in Jamaica's political arena that reflected darker days of Jamaican politics. The first involved opposition spokesperson Nikisha Burchell suggesting that Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton was given preferential treatment when treated at University Hospital for injuries sustained in a cycling accident. The second involved the PNP's caretaker for Southeast St. Catherine, Dr. Alfred Dawes. Dr. Dawes revealed that he was poisoned last year in a politically motivated plot aimed at tarnishing his reputation. He made the revelation while addressing comrades at Waterford High School in Portmore on Sunday. This caused a fired-up Kevin O'Brien Chang to call out civil society groups.
I tell you, who is a disgrace to the nation right now is Jamaican civil society. They are totally silent on these two things. Both of them are linked because there's a lack of respect for your opponent. The poisoning, the murderers, if you have to line up with Dr. Tufton. Where is civil society to cool the temperatures? Where are the neutral voices that are going to say, no, let us draw the lines in sand that we shall not cross? Where are these voices? The ombudsman was destroyed by the media and civil society saying nothing. And the same civil society is balling back for the ombudsman who they destroyed. And where are they now? Where are these voices saying this is unacceptable in Jamaican politics? This murderers and poisoning, and they stand up in a line and all that. They are a disgrace to the nation.
Mr. O'Brien Chang went even further, naming the groups he believes are sitting idly by and failing to address the issues plaguing Jamaican politics.
They have no moral authority, they have no integrity, because they only speak when one side does things. And they have no support on the ground because they are not balanced and they do not try to keep temperatures down. They are not national for the country. And as I say, I'm going to call them DFJ, JAMP, NIA, you are disgraces to the nation.
When challenged by host Ricardo Brooks with the point that the groups were following their respective mandates, Mr. O'Brien Chang fired back. He claims that these groups have, in the past, spoken on matters outside of their mandates but have refused to do so in these instances.
Here is where I disagree with you, Kevin O'Brien Chang, because I don't know that those groups you call that their mandate speaks to this kind of thing.
Oh, but they say plenty of things outside their mandate. Please, that's a feeble excuse. Many times they've gone way outside their mandate to say things. Come on, man, reality. You know what they've said over the last couple of years. We have seen it, talking about all different kind of issues unrelated to the mandate. Now we have Jamaican politics at danger of tipping back over into violence, and they're silent. Please, give me a break. Nonsense.
And
actions speak louder than the words is what they have talked about before. Don't tell me about mandate now when you're gone way past the mandate in the past. Hypocrisy of the intellectual hypocrisy of the worst kind.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Dr. Nadine Spence says she believes the gravity of the situation involving Dr. Dawes was lost on opposition leader Mark Golding.
The gravity of the situation, I think, was lost on him. So given the fact that you knew all of this, his interpretation of it and the gravity of where it would take us in terms of our political history and the things that we know about Jamaica, he didn't seem to get the gravity of that. And I think that was what disturbed me more than anything else about it, that it's not a PNP story, it's a Jamaica story. And when a politician talks about on a stage someone attempting to poison you, it has a chilling impact.
It does.
It has a chilling impact on the nation.
Dr. Nadine Spence, political commentator Dr. Spence, was also speaking Monday on Nationwide at 5. And that's it for the local segment of the news. Up next, regional and international.
This Father's Day, escape to the Pamper Temple for ultimate relaxation. Adam and Eve Day Spa. All treatments are infused to melt your tension and remove stress. Pamper Dad with a massage, facial, body treatment, and mani-pedi. Unwind at Adam and Eve and enjoy complimentary Pure Country juices and Johnny Walker. But now at www.adamandevedayspaja.com. Purchase gift certificates. Call 876-754-6017 or WhatsApp 876-567-2142 for details.
In regional and international news of this morning, regional news, Communications Director of St. Lucia Labour Party, SLP, Lisa Jawahir, says the soon-to-be implemented minimum wage will alleviate hardship for thousands of workers. She was responding to a claim from Deputy Leader of the United Workers' Party, UWP, Guy Joseph, that the government's proposed minimum wage is insufficient. The proposed minimum wage is $6.50 per hour, or $126 per month. The new rate will take effect from August 1 this year, with an estimated 13,000 workers expected to directly benefit. The Minimum and Equal Wages Commission has invited comments and objections until Thursday, June 6. In international news now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's coalition led in a majority of seats Tuesday in India's general election. That's according to early figures. However, he faces a stronger than expected challenge from the opposition after it pushed back against the leader's mixed economic record and polarizing politics. The counting of more than 640 million votes cast over 6 weeks in the world's largest democratic exercise is set to take all day. Modi is still widely expected to be elected to a third 5-year term, even as the race tightens and the early count shows his Hindu nationalist party might not secure a majority on its own. If Modi wins, it would cement the 73-year-old as one of the country's most popular and important leaders. It would only be the second time an Indian leader has retained power for a third term. The first was Jawaharlal Nehru, the country's first prime minister. And that's it for regional and international. Up next, sports.
Is your Strata filing its annual returns? In keeping with the Registration Strata Titles Act, Strata corporations are required to submit an audited financial statement or a copy of its accounts, prepared in keeping with generally accepted accounting principles, signed by the chairman and at least one other member of the executive committee. This must be submitted annually to the Commission of Strata Corporations within 120 days after the end of the financial year. For more information, contact the Commission of Strata Corporations at 926-9748-9.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
In your morning sports report, Afghanistan made an impressive start to their campaign at the ICC T20 World Cup. They beat Uganda by 128 runs in a Group D encounter at Providence in Guyana on Monday. Ramanullah Gurbaz, 76, and Ibrahim Zadran, 70, put on 154, the second highest opening stand in T20 World Cup history, as the Afghans posted 183 for 5 in their 20 overs. In reply, the debutants, Uganda, they were blown away for 58 in 16 overs, thanks to Vazalhaq Faruqi, 5 for 9. The World Cup continues today with the defending champions England facing Scotland at Kensington Oval in Barbados at 9:30 a.m. and the Netherlands against Nepal in Dallas at 10:30 a.m. Coach of Jamaica's Reggae Girls, Hubert Busby, says he's anticipating a much better performance from the team when they face Brazil and El Salvador in the final game of their 2-match friendly series later on Tuesday. The Reggae Girls were beaten 4-0 in the first match on Saturday.
Couple areas that we need to improve in terms of our build-up play and hold-up play. It allows us to get out and play in transition, but also be able to retain the ball a bit better. I think our defensive structures in terms of the communication and organization will look to improve, and that's simply because of players not playing with with each other on a regular basis for the last 9 months, and so sometimes those relationships and understandings, naturally diminish. But overall, I mean, the players have been, very open-minded and showed a really good attitude in terms of, understanding, the areas in which we didn't really, show as much as we wanted.
Busby says ball retention will be a key part of the plan.
For us, it's really about the building blocks. We always will be a group and a team that's, fundamentally defensively sound. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the basis of all successful teams. But one of the things we want to be able to do more is to be able to keep the ball a bit more and obviously, and against a very difficult team, it's a very good team rather than Brazil. It might be a little bit more difficult, but we want to be able to keep the ball, possess the ball, and be a threat in transition.
Hubert Busby. National swimmers Emily McDonald, Sabrina Lynn, and Jessica Calderbank are all battling for the rights to be Jamaica's lone female representative at the Paris Olympics. Countries that do not have swimmers that qualify automatically for the Olympics get a universal spot for a female and a male swimmer. McDonald improved her chance of being selected by lowering her personal best in the 50 meters freestyle twice at the recent Tornadoes Invitational meet.
My goal is to represent Jamaica in the 50-meter freestyle at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. I believe that my odds for making the team are fairly high, and I'm confident that my athletic abilities, coupled with the unrelenting support of my friends and family, will take me to where I need to go. This opportunity is definitely within reach, and I am so blessed and grateful for the prospect of representing Jamaica in the upcoming Olympic Games.
Emily McDonald. Lynn says she'd loved the opportunity to build on Jamaica's rich Olympics legacy.
What has inspired me to keep swimming has been my family, my friends, my coaches, even like Alia, Shelly, Usain, like what they've done for the country, represented the country. I'd love to be a part of that. I love swimming, I love Jamaica. I'd love to see swimming grow in Jamaica. And so I want to be a goal for kids that are coming behind me who are also going to help the sport grow. I'd like to be a goal for them to beat. And I'd also love to join that community of swimmers who have done so much for Jamaican swimming.
Sabrina Lynn and Calderbank says that she hopes to get the chance to bring her World Championship experience to the fore.
I recently competed in the World Championships representing Jamaica for the first time in Doha, competing in the 50 and the 100 metre butterfly events, and I hope to do the same in the 100 metre butterfly in the Olympic Games. One of my main motivations has always been to defy expectations and stereotypes.
Jessica Calderbank. It's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact, sponsored by the Real Estate Board and Commission of Strata Corporations.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by the Real Estate Board and the Commission of Strata Corporations.
Did you know that the Olympic torch is a reminder of the game's Greek origins? Yes, that's a fact. In ancient times, a flame burned throughout the games as a tribute to the goddess Hestia. Since 1928, this tradition has continued in the modern games, but instead of an altar, the flame burns in a special torch. The torch flame is always lit by the sun in Olympia, Greece, as this is where the first Greek games was held. Then it's passed from torch to torch in a massive international relay that ends in the host city.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
And that's it for your morning sports.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
In business this morning, Japan's transport ministry raided the headquarters of motor giant Toyota on Tuesday as a scandal over faulty safety data escalated. The world's largest car maker has apologized for providing incorrect or manipulated data for safety certification tests. The scandal has shaken the Japanese car industry, with the rivals Honda, Mazda, and Suzuki also admitting to submitting faulty data. Toyota sold more than 11 million passenger vehicles in 2023. It says the findings do not affect the safety of vehicles already on the road. The company has suspended the production of 3 car models, the Corolla Fielder, Corolla Axio, and Yaris Cross. It has also been accused of using modified vehicles during safety collision tests for vehicles that are no longer in production. The raids come a day after Toyota chairman Akio Toyoda apologized to customers and car enthusiasts. Locally, some 40 female business owners have benefited from exposure to practical strategies for going public under Scotiabank's Going for Growth workshop. The workshop, which was held in May, was aimed at empowering women entrepreneurs to make informed decisions about their business's future and to maximize their growth potential. The workshop featured Scotiabank executives, along with Managing Director of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Dr. Marlene Street Forrest, and private capital specialist with the Development Bank of Jamaica, Audrey Richards. Scotiabank, through its workshop, sought to provide a comprehensive overview of capital access, advisor services, mentorship, and tailored education. Scotia says its commitment extends beyond Kingston, with a network of offices and teams across Jamaica dedicated to supporting women-owned and women-led businesses at every stage of their journey. In foreign exchange trading now, the Jamaican dollar lost 33 cents in trading on Monday and will open trading this morning, selling for an average $156.15 against the benchmark U.S. dollar. The Jamaican dollar lost $2.34 and will open trading this morning, selling for an average $115.16 against the Canadian. And finally, the Jamaican dollar has gained $1.01 and will open trading today, selling for an average $198.36 against the British pound. That's it for business this morning.
For all your musical needs, visit the Music Mart, the most complete music store in Jamaica. Telephone 876-960-7712. The time brought to you by the Music Mart is
6:30.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure. Reaching out for more, we'll always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone. Taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams. Every day helping you succeed, that's what Sagicor means. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams.
Attention engine enthusiasts in Jamaica. Did you know that Lucalza Caribbean is the only authorized distributor of Chevron lubricants? Lucalza has been the trusted partner for Chevron lubricants in Jamaica for over 13 years, offering the full range of Chevron and Texaco products including Ursa, Haviland, Supreme, Delo, and more. For peace of mind and superior engine care, trust the Chevron lubricants portfolio, distributed by Lucalza Caribbean and their network of reliable resellers. Don't compromise your engine performance. Drive with Chevron. Drive with confidence.
snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every man. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. And there are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common plan, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of every man. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance.
A very good morning to you. Good morning to you. You're tuned in to Nationwide this morning, NTM. Thank you so much for coming on over and joining us this Tuesday morning. It is Tuesday, June 4, 2024. Very, very happy to have you this morning. And just making a check over on my subscribers on this channel. Haven't done so in a while. We're almost at 13,000. So very, very happy about that. For those of you who are listening and you're new or you're not new, but you haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you and I appeal to you to come on over to our Nationwide 90 FM live YouTube channel and just click the subscribe button and click the notification bell as well so that you're notified every time we post content over here. Good morning to you, our YouTubers as well. I see you guys out in your numbers. Very, very happy to have you in the space. I'm Tona Thomas.
Good morning, Tona. My name is George, and you should tell the listeners, especially those new ones who say, they're not just 13,000. No, we've been to the mountain and then push way off. Understand? We've been to the mountain. We have the plaque in the front, in the reception here to show that our 100,000 plus. You can you imagine how many we would have been today? We'd have been close to 150 by now. I think would have been 150 at least by now. But
every time I see it, I get the
yeah, man, we go up on the mountain, man. And yeah, man, we've done it before, yeah. Yeah, well, as Jermaine said, we'll go up there and should we? They don't push me. No, you see, the children are listening to us, Mr. King. I tell you this all the time, The children, the word is push, but in real terms, you kind of push over get a should we should we have. So we'll climb back up again, yeah?
Yeah, see, you open up now, people asking what happened to the other channel. As George said, we got pushed.
No, then should we? Time to work with the program, man.
Then should we?
Then should we?
Yeah. Yeah, he says, I remember when you guys celebrated the 100K. What a time, huh?
Yep.
But we can get back there with you just clicking the subscribe button there and clicking the notification bell. We can get there and encourage a friend who has not yet subscribed to go on over to our Nationwide 90 FM live channel and subscribe as well. But to my What's on My Mind now, and Jermaine, there is a clip that I want to play as well a little further down in What's on My Mind. So Sunday's revelation, George, by the PNP standard bearer in Southeast St. Catherine, Dr. Alfred Dawes, has certainly left many people understandably shocked and concerned. While speaking at a special workers' meeting in Portmore, St. Catherine on Sunday, Dr. Dawes revealed to attendees that information that surfaced in the public domain last year that he was poisoned. It's true. And you'll recall that almost a year ago, July 2023, reports surfaced that Dr. Dawes was rushed to hospital to get treatment for poisoning. He told the media, including us here at Nationwide at the time, that he was hearing those reports going around, but that it was false. He also told Loop News last July that he was at a restaurant and had an allergic reaction, and out of an abundance of caution went to have it checked out at a medical facility. And conversations on the matter died down shortly after. And the public, we moved on. But Dr. Dawes himself was the messenger on Sunday who has caused the matter to resurface when he told a different story and the truth about what really happened last year. Dr. Dawes, in the presence of PNP President Mark Golding and others, broke his year-long silence on the matter and revealed that he was poisoned in a politically motivated plot aimed at tarnishing his reputation.
We got the food, and I was dropping out. She said, "My MP, you don't eat from morning, better you eat it." Dropped her home. And I was eating the food. My throat started to tighten up. And I couldn't breathe properly. And I called some friends in the police and the university hospital, and I ended up at the university hospital that night. The next morning, reporters kept calling, and they kept asking about the woman who was rushed to the hospital. Because the plan was never for me to eat that food, it was for her to eat that food, and they were hoping that I would be rushing a dead female to the hospital, and the scandal that ensued would destroy my name.
Now, Dr. Dawes says he had kept the attempted murder from the party's leadership and his family, and also suggested that the attempt on his life originated outside the constituency. And we're taking Dr. Dawes at his words when he says that it came from outside, but it doesn't negate the fact that since his selection, George, there has been unease. Because this extraordinary tale Dr. Dawes has revealed is being paired with several other unfortunate events or claims within Southeast St. Catherine since he was handpicked as the PNP standard bearer in that constituency. Now, listeners, you'll recall the viral video of Dr. Dawes in May 2023, days after being selected as the PNP standard bearer. He released a video telling the nation that there were death threats against him and his family. At the time, the PNP's constituency office was also partially torched, and Dawes himself said in his video that in the death threat phone calls that he got, he was told that the burning of the office was only the beginning and they would find where he lives. Now, it leads one to ponder if Dr. Dawes is considering at this time that the threats on his reputation and life aren't still live issues and how that might influence his outlook going forward as the PNP's standard bearer. These now are at least 2 incidents that he has publicly shared, but are there others? And how has the leadership of the PNP treated with the fact that there's sort of a target on the man's back, the man that Mr. Golding selected to represent the PNP in the constituency at the next general elections? I don't think Dr. Dawes and the party can be sitting comfortably with the information they have on hand. But ultimately, the decision to stay will be Dr. Dawes's. I recall similarly, George, the former chief medical officer, Dr. Winston Delahaye, in a neighboring constituency, East Central St. Catherine, resigning as caretaker after there were death threats made against him in 2020. The question is Dr. Dawes similarly considering stepping aside in the interest of himself, his family, and his reputation? Because the revelation is certainly unsettling and is a reason to give him pause. And speaking of unsettling, what this shows is that the matter of who should represent the PNP in southeast St. Catherine is still an unsettled issue. An unsettled issue that very much has placed a target on the medical doctor's back. Some voices in the party had from the start expressed being vexed about the approach taken by the party hierarchy to install Dr. Dawes as caretaker. And despite internal pollings, George, that were favorable to Dawes, presented by the PNP, some delegates wanted the opportunity to vote for whomever is going to be their standard bearer. Others wanted counsel for the Edgewater Division, Alric Campbell, who they contended had been the people's choice and should have been the natural choice as well. While last year there were efforts to simmer and cool tensions, a meeting called last Friday is a strong indication that things are far from settled. That meeting was called to quell tensions with those who are still disgruntled with Mr. Golding's chosen caretaker. And the Gleaner is reporting that some delegates are alleging that Dr. Dawes' leadership is ineffective and are still questioning the selection process. The newspaper says a Waterford delegate criticized Dr. Dawes' inability to gain local support, calling him a loser. A Bridgeport delegate is contending that he comes off as entitled. Others have expressed that they'll work with whomever is elected, but not selected. So they still want the representative selection process to go to a vote. And there's all of this that Dr. Dawes and the PNP leadership has to contend with. So while I hear the messages, George, of unity in the House and everything being nice and airy from the PNP president, the House seems divided. And then on top of all of that, the man some people wanted, Alric Campbell, still has an interest in representing the party in the seat. He too spoke with the Gleaner and reportedly said he was confident in his ability to wrest the seat back from the GLP if chosen. Keen to that statement are the words, if chosen. So things are very much not settled. Does he have word that an election will take place? Why would he say, if chosen? And he also said, I know the people still want me to represent them. I have the organizational structure on the ground, citing his recent success in the local government elections. So this morning, I had a reason that Dr. Dawes still has some more considering to do on whether it is wise to remain in this uneasy situation. That's how I describe it. I think it was brave of him to tell his story, and I understand why he may have been hesitant to speak on it, with considerations being given to how the public would digest it and what it would do for the show of unity that the PNP has been putting forward. But now he has to assess if all will be well going forward for him. And I think it's important, too, for the PNP leadership to also now say something on what has been revealed. And perhaps at a later time, we will hear more on this caretaker limbo, because I'm not convinced, as I said, that the issue is a settled one. My final point, George, and a most important one. To those who threatened Dr. Dawes, and to those who made an attempt on his life or reputation, and to all of us, we must always choose humanity over tribal politics in this country. Despite our differences, attempting to kill someone or ruin them in the name of politics, tribal politics, and isolated interests, it's not the way to go. We must endeavor to approach our issues with civility instead of hatred and the desire to win at all cost. And that's what's on my mind.
It's This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
6:47.
eliminate the hassle of managing multiple medications that can be confusing. Thanks to Houghton's Pharmacy. Introducing RX Pack, a mobile app available in the App Store and Google Play Store. RX Pack is specially designed for you to order and manage your medications. Download today for free. That's RX Pack for better medication management. Call 876-RX-0-RX-RX or visit our website, HoughtonsRx.com for more details.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales for a better choice in the electrical business.
Plan your tomorrow today. Introducing JMMB's Hello Future Retirement Planning website. Figure out how much you'll need to be set for life with our calculated tools and tips at your fingertips. Visit hellofuture.jmmb.com and start your journey to your dream retirement today. Conditions apply.
Street Smart and the JUTC Morning Commute is brought to you by JUTC, your route to excellence.
6:49, time to check in with Ludlow McLean, driving the Ludlow machine on the streets of the corporate area. Ludlow, what's happening?
Thank you very much, sir. And George, morning, Sona.
Hey to you, Ludlow.
Respectively. And the motoring public, I have to say good morning to you all, and the listeners, the YouTubers, everyone, and our visitors. You can found them too. Well, this morning it's partly cloudy, some serious clouds above, some serious similar nimbus, and I don't know if there's any threat of rain data, but so far looking quite okay. The roads, however, are getting busy from as early as minutes after 5 this morning. The roadways are busy, but still good vehicular movement. If you're coming in from the Spanish Town, remember that area is much more developed now, so as a result, you're going to have lots of vehicles leaving out early. But the cumulative effect is really later on during the course of the morning. But so far, movement going through. If you're on the boulevard, it's slow moving, but moving anyway towards Boulevard Malines. Malines also steady flow going all the way into East Park Harbour Tree. What about those who are in the Kingston 8 area, coming off Manor Park, coming from as far as Long Lane? It's a steady stream coming all the way down into Constance Spring Square, making it onto Olivia Road. Go ahead, no problem. Going through Arcadia Drive onto Barbican Road, also steady as they make your way. But remember, Arcadia Drive, remember Barbican Road, eastbound, is going to be a charge later this morning. So our first report for the morning until 7:18. Back to you, George.
Thank you, Ludlow. Ludlow McLean there with Street Smarts 1. Up next, the word of the day.
Street Smart and the JUTC Morning Commute was brought to you by JUTC, your route to excellence.
Your word of the day spelled E-B-U-L-L-I-E-N-T, spelled E-B-U-L-L-I-E-N-T.
Ebullient. Ebullient. Ebullient.
Your word of the day is pronounced ebullient. It's an adjective, and it means enthusiasm or excitement. Another synonym being high-spirited. Ebullient is your word of the day, spelt E-B-U-L-L-I-E-N-T. And dictionary.com is telling us this morning that ebullient was first recorded in English between 1590 and 1600s, and it comes from a Latin word meaning boiling up. Ebullient is your word of the day. To use it in a sentence, also provided by dictionary.com this morning. Her ebullient personality always brightened the room. Ebullient is your word of the day.
It's a word.
High-spirited, showing enthusiasm.
It's a word common in sport. So you find that adjective used by... You see, the thing with sport limits your vocabulary. So the people who look like one little box, so them take words out of. This is not one of them. But this is something that you...
I can see how this is used in sports
Man. It's just
by both the players of whatever sport as well as
and the commentators describing the action.
The commentators as well as the spectators.
Yeah, man.
Being high-spirited. Yeah, I hope a lot of that happens for Jamaicans when we are watching the Olympics in the events that we're going to be in this summer. But ebullient is your word of the day again, Ebullient. It's an adjective meaning overflowing with enthusiasm or excitement, being high-spirited. Up next, your features at the top of the hour, the news.
The thyroid hormone helps control the speed of your metabolism. The faster your metabolism, the more calories your body burns at rest. People with hypothyroidism make less thyroid hormones. This means they have a slower metabolism and burn fewer calories at rest. Having a slow metabolism comes with several health risks. It may leave you tired, increase your blood cholesterol levels, and make it harder for you to lose weight. In Food for Thought today, foods you should and shouldn't eat if you have hypothyroidism. Several nutrients are important for optimal thyroid health. Iodine is an essential mineral that is needed to make thyroid hormones. Thus, people with iodine deficiency might be at risk of hypothyroidism. Another nutrient that is important to good health of the thyroid is selenium. The nutrient helps to activate the thyroid hormones so they can be used by the body. Selenium also has antioxidant benefits, which means it may protect the thyroid gland from damage by free radicals. Adding selenium-rich foods to your diet is a great way to boost your selenium levels. This includes Brazil nuts, tuna, sardines, eggs, and legumes. However, avoid taking a selenium supplement unless advised by a healthcare professional. Supplements provide large doses, and selenium may be toxic in large amounts. Like selenium, zinc helps the body to activate thyroid hormones. Studies also show that zinc may help the body regulate TSH, the hormone that tells the thyroid gland to release thyroid hormones. If you have hypothyroidism, aim to eat more zinc-rich foods like oysters and other shellfish, beef, and chicken. Likewise, there are nutrients that may be harmful to the health of those with hypothyroidism. Goitrogens are the main ones. Goitrogens are named from the term goiter, which is an enlarged thyroid gland which may occur with hypothyroidism. There are compounds that interfere with the normal function of the thyroid gland. Surprisingly, many common foods contain goitrogens, including soy-rich foods. Certain vegetables like cabbage, broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and spinach. Some fruits and starchy plants such as sweet potatoes, cassava, peaches, and strawberries. And some nuts and seeds like millet, pine nuts, and peanuts. Persons suffering from hypothyroidism should ensure that their meals consist of eggs. The whole eggs are best, as much of its iodine and selenium are found in the yolk, while the whites are full of protein. All meats, including lamb, beef, and chicken. All seafood, including salmon, tuna, halibut, and shrimp. All vegetables. All fruits, including berries, bananas, oranges, and tomatoes. Gluten-free grains and seeds, including rice, buckwheat, quinoa, chia seeds, and flax seeds. All dairy products, including milk, cheese, and yogurt. People with hypothyroidism should aim to eat a diet based on vegetables, fruits, and lean meats. These are low in calories and are very filling, which may help prevent weight gain. That's it for Food for Thought today.
Fearless and fair, Nationwide 90 FM.
Picture this. You're waiting in line to buy tickets and you want to do something to pass the time. So what do? Some would choose to go on their phone while others would try to strike up a conversation. But what is proper etiquette while you're waiting in a long line? I'm Tana, and the Lifestyle Pages starts now. Here are some basic rules for chatting with people while waiting in a line. Don't give out personal information if you've never seen him or her before. Don't get into a political discussion. It's dangerous to open this up if you don't know the person's affiliation or the level of passion. Be cautious about discussing religious views. While it's okay to mention the church you attend, if it naturally flows in the conversation, don't make judgmental comments about others. Don't call a stranger by an intimate name. It might be normal for you to address everyone as dear, sweetie, or darling, but it might make someone who isn't used to it feel uncomfortable. I'm Tana, and those were your Lifestyle Pages.
News on the go. The latest stories from Jamaica and around the world are literally a finger tap away. Keep up to date with Teen Revolution 24 hours a day online via nationwideradiojm.com. Listen live, read the latest stories, hear every soundbite. Be a part of the vibrant online debate via Facebook and Twitter. Now you can get all your favorite premium nationwide content at your convenience. Visit the Android Play Store and download it for free today. NationwideRadioJM.com. All day, every day. Team Revolution.
Nationwide 90 FM, continuing the tradition of fair, fearless, and factual reporting.
From Negril Point to Morant Bay, a little kindness can go a far way. The time by the Jamaica Information Service is...
News time, 7 o'clock.
If you need to build it, plumb it, weld it, pave it, or power it, National Supply has it. Get the best brands for the job at Jamaica's Industrial Hardware Superstore, Kingston Normal Bay. The temperature by National Supply is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston and 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay.
The most credible news in the morning. The news at 7 on Nationwide 90 FM.
Coming up in the news this morning, Tuesday, June 4, 2024, police warn against using unregulated app-based taxi services. Indicom says it's probing the death of a detainee at the Chapelton police lockup, and Keith Clark's widow questions why no one else but her husband was shot and killed during joint police military operation at her residence in May 2010, while overseas Modi's coalition leads in a majority of seats in India's early count of election ballots.
News at 7 is brought to you by Fosrich, your electrical, lighting, solar, and LED people.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime Fitz Bailey is advising members of the public against using ride-sharing companies until a regulatory framework is established.
I think it's very dangerous. And if I were to advise the public, I would say stay away from those services for the time being until there are regulatory framework put in place to manage them. This is very risky, and I think I'll do some more follow-up with the authority, because we have to ensure, we have to safeguard our citizens from this level of exposure. We have to put in the right regulatory framework to manage, to prevent situation from what we suspect happened in this case from happening.
His advice follows the disappearance and the suspected murder of 29-year-old primary school teacher Danielle Anglin. Miss Anglin was reported missing on Monday, May 13. She was last seen on her way to work sometime after 5 a.m. that day. Miss Anglin, who lives in Hellshire, St. Catherine, reportedly took an InDrive taxi. InDrive is an app-based taxi service. Skeletal remains believed to be those of Miss Anglin were found in Salt River, Clarendon on Monday. DCP Bailey says the police are awaiting a forensics report to confirm the identity of the remains. He says investigators are frustrated by the absence of a local representative from the ride-sharing company.
Even in our investigative process, we don't know who to contact. It's a concern that I have, and as I said, I have actually spoken to the minister, and I spoke to someone that works with the Transport Authority. There's mechanism, there's effort to ensure that there's some regulatory framework in place to treat with those type of services. I mean, we have to ensure that we have fit and proper vehicle and fit and proper person. When you consider your one's daughter, wife, any family member can take one of those services, and there's no guarantee who is behind the wheel.
DCP Fitz Bailey, head of the JCF's crime portfolio. Meanwhile, DCP Bailey says a convicted sex offender is in custody in connection with Miss Anglin's disappearance.
The person was arrested and charged and convicted for sexual offences in Jamaica as well as Antigua. In 2015, he was charged in Jamaica. I don't have the exact date for the Antigua offences, but I know that he was charged and convicted and then deported back to Jamaica. He claimed to have known her, but we do not believe it based on our investigation. And when we look at the timeline, based on our investigation, we saw the movement of the vehicle at different locations. And based on the information we got from CFCD, it matches the time that we saw the movement of the vehicle from the location to Clarendon.
And DCP Bailey says investigations are still underway into the disappearance and the suspected murder of dancehall artist Medic. Medic, whose registered name is Stephanie Williams, was reported missing on August 24, 2023. In February this year, the police found what they strongly suspect to be her skeletal remains in a cane field in Walden District in St. Catherine. DCP Bailey says the police are still awaiting the results of the forensic examinations.
I am also aware that the public is concerned about the investigation into the disappearance of Stephanie Williams, OC Medic. I just want to update the public that the investigation is actively being pursued. Some things were submitted to the lab and we are awaiting the result whilst we continue to pursue the investigation. We are confident that we'll ultimately bring this investigation to a closure. So I just want to, if I may say, bring some sense of, I don't know if it's consolation to the family or reassurance to the family and to the public that that investigation is actively being pursued and we intend to get to the bottom of this matter.
Fitz Bailey, Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the crime portfolio. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, says it's probing the death of a detainee at the Chapelton Police lockup in Clarendon. The deceased is 33-year-old Rikima Bravo. He was taken into custody on June 1. Indicom says Bravo died inside the lockup on Monday morning. It's reported that at 3:15 a.m., police on duty heard unusual sounds coming from one of the cells. When they went to investigate, Bravo was found with head injuries reportedly inflicted by other detainees. He was transported to the Maypen Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Indicom says it will be assessing if negligence was involved in the actions of the police personnel on duty. It says 2 makeshift iron weapons were found inside the cell. Indicom says its office in Manchester will have oversight of the investigation. It says since January it has been probing the deaths of 9 persons in custody. 3 of those deaths occurred at a police station and the other 6 at a correctional institution. Meanwhile, the Police Commissioner, Dr. Kevin Blake, has directed the JCF's Inspectorate and Professional Standards Branch to conduct an immediate probe into Bravo's death. The widow of businessman Keith Clark, Dr. Claudette Clark, on Monday questioned how no one else but her husband was shot and killed during a joint police-military operation at her home in May 2010. This follows claims by the defense that gunmen were on her property firing shots at the police and the soldiers. Dr. Clark is giving evidence in the Supreme Court against 3 soldiers accused of killing her husband. The soldiers are Lance Corporal Greg Tinglin, Corporal Odell Buckley, and Private Arnold Henry. Robian Williams was in court.
During cross-examination on Monday, Dr. Claudette Clark rejected claims from the defense that there were gunmen at her Upper Kirkland Heights residence in St. Andrew on May 27, 2010. Despite suggestions that gunmen were on her premises and in the basement, Dr. Clark maintained that only her husband, and her youngest daughter were at the house. Defense attorney Linton Gordon suggested that gunmen engaged the security forces in a shooting battle. To this, Dr. Clark said, quote, "I will repeat it 100,000,000 times. There was only me, my daughter, and my husband there. There was no one on the premises. I don't know them. I did not see them. I don't know where they came from." At this point, Dr. Clark questioned how no one was captured or shot during the ordeal. Mr. Linton submitted that Dr. Clark previously told the court that her husband returned fire with his licensed firearm. Dr. Clark testified that she heard it on the news that a soldier was shot during the operation. She added that based on that, she assumed her husband returned fire as she didn't see him doing so. She said, quote, "My husband left the room and went into another room with his firearm. I cannot say if he was firing shots because I did not see him firing." End quote. Mr. Linton suggested that Dr. Clark is making up a story. She responded, "I am not making up any story. I came here to give evidence because it was required of me. Anything that happened in here not going to bring back my husband, you know." Mr. Linton accused Dr. Clark of lying to justify how a soldier was shot after hearing it on the news. He submitted, "You adjusted the story to say he was protecting his family. You adjust your evidence and make up stories as you see fit. Stories you make up which change from time to time. You made them up to protect the reputation of your husband." She said, "I don't agree with you. I am not telling any lie. I lived it. I did not make up any story, sir. Nothing is going to bring back my husband. I didn't see him firing his firearm." Dr. Clark, who is the prosecution's first witness, has been on the stand for approximately 4 weeks. Her daughter, Brittany Clark, has now taken the stand. She will continue giving evidence when the trial resumes on Tuesday morning at 10. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
A disgrace to the nation. That's how political commentator Kevin O'Brien Chang described some civil society groups and their silence on controversial political issues. Mr. O'Brien Chang was speaking Monday on Nationwide at 5. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
On Monday evening on Nationwide at 5, hosts Cliff Hughes and Ricardo Brooks, along with guests political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence and Kevin O'Brien Chang, recalled the dark and deadly days of Jamaica's recent political past. This discussion was sparked by recent incidents that took place in Jamaica's political arena that reflected darker days of Jamaican politics. The first involved opposition spokesperson Nikisha Burchell suggesting that Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton was given preferential treatment when treated at University Hospital for injuries sustained in a cycling accident. The second involved the PNP's caretaker for Southeast St. Catherine, Dr. Alfred Dawes. Dr. Dawes revealed that he was poisoned last year in a politically motivated plot aimed at tarnishing his reputation. He made the revelation while addressing comrades at Waterford High School in Portmore on Sunday. This caused a fired-up Kevin O'Brien Chang to call out civil society groups.
I tell you, who is a disgrace to the nation right now is Jamaican civil society. They are totally silent on these two things. Both of them are linked because there's a lack of respect for your opponent. The poisoning, the murderers, if you have to line up with Dr. Tufton. Where is civil society to cool the temperatures? Where are the neutral voices that are going to say, no, let us draw the lines in the sand that we shall not cross? Where are these voices? The ombudsman was destroyed by the media and civil society saying nothing. And the same civil society is balling back for the ombudsman who they destroyed. And where are they now? Where are these voices saying this is unacceptable in Jamaican politics? This murderers and poisoning, and they stand up in a line and all that. They are a disgrace to the nation.
Mr. O'Brien Chang went even further, naming the groups he believes are sitting idly by and failing to address the issues plaguing Jamaican politics.
They have no moral authority, they have no integrity, because they only speak when one side does things. And they have no support on the ground because they are not balanced and they do not try to keep temperatures down. They are not national for the country. And as I say, I'm going to call them DFJ, JAMP, NIA, you are disgraces to the nation.
When challenged by host Ricardo Brooks with the point that the groups were following their respective mandates, Mr. O'Brien Chang fired back. He claims that these groups have, in the past, spoken on matters outside of their mandates but have refused to do so in these instances.
Here is where I disagree with you, Kevin O'Brien Chan. Because I don't know that those groups you call that their mandate speaks to this kind of thing.
Oh, but they say plenty of things outside their mandate. Please, that's a feeble excuse. Many, many times they've gone way outside their mandate to say things. Come on, man, reality. You know what they've said over the last couple of years. We have seen it, talking about all different kind of issues unrelated to the mandate. Now we have Jamaican politics at danger of tipping back over into violence, and they're silent. Please, give me a break. Nonsense.
And
Actions speak louder than words is what they have talked about before. Don't tell me about mandate now when you're gone way past the mandate in the past. Hypocrisy, of the intellectual hypocrisy of the worst kind.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence says she believes the gravity of the situation involving Dr. Alfred Dawes in Southeast St. Catherine was lost on opposition leader Mark Golding.
The gravity of the situation, I think, was lost on him. So given the fact that you knew all of this, his interpretation of it and the gravity of where it would take us in terms of our political history and the things that we know about Jamaica, he didn't seem to get the gravity of that. And I think that was what disturbed me more than anything else about it, that it's not a PNP story, it's a Jamaica story. And when a politician talks about, on a stage, someone attempting to poison you, it has a chilling impact.
It does.
It has a chilling impact on the nation.
Dr. Nadine Spence. The Southeast Regional Health Authority, SERA, has launched an investigation into the death of the councillor, Rohan Washi-Bran, from the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation. According to SERA, before his death, Councillor Bran was admitted for care at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Bran, who first won the Morant Bay Division in 2012 on a PNP ticket, succumbed to a heart condition at about 2 a.m. on May 1. A protest was staged at the entrance of the health facility on Monday, with demonstrators blaming negligence for his death. In response to the protest, the regional director for SERA, Errol Green, noted that the matter is being probed. He says the board will be advised as soon as the investigations are complete. In the meantime, the management at Princess Margaret Hospital say they've met with Mr. Brand's wife and a family friend to discuss the matter. Overseas news now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's coalition led in a majority of seats on Tuesday in India's general election, according to early figures. However, he faces a stronger than expected challenge from the opposition after it pushed back against his mixed economic record and polarizing politics. The counting of more than 640 million votes cast over 6 weeks in the world's largest democratic exercise is set to take all day. Modi is still expected to be elected to a third 5-year term, even as the race tightens, and the early count shows his Hindu Nationalist Party might not secure a majority on its own. If Modi wins, it would cement the 73-year-old as one of the country's most popular and important leaders. It would only be the second time an Indian leader has retained power for a third term. The first was Jawaharlal Nehru, the country's first prime minister. That's the news.
News at 7 was brought to you by Fosrich, your electrical, lighting, solar, and LED people.
Sign up for the JN Money Card. It's safe, convenient, and free. The time by JN Money is
16 minutes past 7.
Employers, mark your calendars. The annual Employers Return, SO2, originally due March 31, 2024, is now due on April 2, 2024. File online at jamaicatax.gov.jm. Contact 888 Tax Help for more assistance. The temperature by Tax Administration Jamaica, working together to serve you even better, is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay.
At Design Privacy, we value relationships. Join our exclusive open DPO community and interact with privacy professionals. Share ideas, insightful challenges, and build career-boosting connections with expert advice at your fingertips. Get access to specialized tools, exclusive workshops, and case studies. Enjoy unparalleled networking. Join Design Privacy's open DPO community to expand your expertise and excel in your career. Visit opendpocommunity.com today and take your data privacy skills to the next level.
Street Smart and the JUTC Morning Commute is brought to you by JUTC, your route to excellence.
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Ludlow McLean. Good morning, Ludlow.
Hey, George, morning time again. Well, it's much brighter now. Some cirrus clouds are still above and nimbus and some cumulus strata. Yes, they're still there with us, but it's really bright and sun. And the traffic has intensified in many areas. I did mention that the boulevard from that side it was building, but it has built up significantly. So those of you who are coming out of Detainee Drive, you're going to have some traffic to contend with. Also Kenyon Drive coming out of Pembroke Hall, and also Malines Boulevard intersection. Now, when you leave Detainee Drive to get towards the Red Hills Road, you're going to have a traffic build-up there because you have the traffic from coming off Red Hills, we call that now the foot of Red Hills. So join with Red Hills Road there, and Malines at that intersection quite active. Now going around further down to Red Hills Road, you're going to have traffic flowing all the way in the vicinity of the overpass by Don Robin and Washington Boulevard, and that traffic has gone all the way around to connect with Eastwood Park Road. Already Don Robin has a lot of traffic heading towards Constance. Now, what's happening over West Kings Road? That is also busy because Waterloo, though not to Upper Waterloo, it's not so bad there coming off Shorter Road to Upper Waterloo. Once you get onto Upper Waterloo, going past West Kings Road, the traffic really is bumper to bumper there. And if you try to make it on Kingsway, it's the same thing. The traffic is really heavy going onto Hope Road. Hope Road, flowing, there are gaps along Hope Road, but once you make it into Harbour Street, it's going to be bumper to bumper. Likewise, on Spring Road, all four lanes are busy heading into Harbour Street Square. And what about Barbican Road and also East Kings Road? Also bumper-to-bumper traffic. So those of you coming off Arcada Drive, Ross Line, Bertha Lane, onto Barbican Road, definitely bumper-to-bumper traffic situation. Around in the Ligony area, bumper-to-bumper traffic too. So it's really busy. And motorists, remember, after this report, going up to even 9 o'clock, the traffic really gets busy in a lot of areas, I can tell you. So most intersections will be busy at this time. It's our second report for the morning. As usual, drive properly, and as usual, Street Smart. Your safety is all concerned. George, over.
Thank you, Ludlow. Ludlow McLean there with the Street Smarts. To up next, front page.
Street Smart and the JUTC Morning Commute was brought to you by JUTC, your route to excellence.
Front Page is brought to you today by ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business. For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Welcome back to Nationwide this morning. You're now tuned in to our discussion segment, The Front Page. Now, the University of the West Indies, the UWI, has implemented its revamped sexual harassment policy at a cost of $14 million. Under the new Sexual Harassment Act, all public and private entities and institutions are mandated to develop and implement their respective policy by June 30, 2024. With the implementation of the policy, the UWI will now be required to employ sexual harassment coordinator and other human resource personnel to ensure they are compliant with the law.
Since the launch of the policy last week, there have been reports of sexual improprieties by employees at the institution. And joining us to talk about the sexual harassment policy in effect at the UWI is the registrar at the Mona campus, Dr. Donovan Stanbury. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Morning. Clear up something for me, Dr. Stanbury. I know that the UWI has had a sexual harassment advisor from 2019, and there are various documents online that speak to a sexual harassment policy that dates back to 1994. How do those reconcile with what the university is saying now is its sexual harassment policy?
Well, the University of the West Indies as a responsible employer has always recognized the issue of the reality of sexual harassment. And we have sought, even before the government of Jamaica put in place legislation, to establish our own policies and procedures to deal with that issue. So it goes back a long way. Our first official policy was in fact approved across the university system in 2016. When the government enacted the sexual harassment legislation in 2021, it places on each employer, including the University of the West Indies, certain obligation in terms of having policies and procedures and so on to deal with the matter. So at that time, we had to revisit our own policy and ensure that it is in sync with what is required by the legislation of the government of Jamaica. So it means taking our own disciplinary procedures, our own reporting procedures, and ensure that they are consistent with what the law demands. So when we launched our revamped policy last week, it wasn't new. It was just making sure that what we had before is in line with national legislation, as we're obliged to do as an employer.
So, Dr. Debian Chambers, who in 2019 was announced as the UWI's sexual harassment advisor with an office at the Mona Health Center, how does that office, if that individual is still in that post, how does that square with the message from the principal now about the appointment of a sexual harassment coordinator under this revamped policy?
Well, the person we just named, Debian Chambers, Dr. Chambers, works in our health center, and she is the head of our counseling unit. So in addition to sexual harassment cases, she would have had the responsibility to deal with all issues relating to mental health and that kind of thing, not only sexual harassment. Under the policy, we now have to have a dedicated coordinator who will receive complaints, direct people to whatever social psychological help that they require, and engage our disciplinary procedure to the very end until the case has been determined. So what Debian did was just part of her responsibility. She had a larger portfolio. Now the law requires that we have dedicated people just dealing with sexual harassment.
And Mr. Stanbury, what accounts for the 14 million? Is it to have the personnel in place, or are there other things that account for the 14 million? And is this something that is a one-off cost, or how much is it likely to cost the university annually now that you have the sexual harassment policy, well, the revamped one in place?
Well, what the law requires is that we have dedicated people who deals with complaints and that kind of thing.
So we have to set up a whole institutional framework just to deal with that. So the 14 million represents the cost of engaging a sexual harassment coordinator, and that person is not just an administrator who will receive complaints. That person would have to have some training in psychology and that kind of thing, and counseling. And then you have to have the administrative support. So it is not a one-off cost. It's a recurring cost because those structures will be in place forever.
So the sexual harassment coordinator will have personnel that's working in a particular unit dedicated to just that.
That's right.
Okay.
Right. Sorry. Right. So I was asking then. So the revamped policy, does it specifically carve out a role for a sexual harassment coordinator? Just want to get that straight.
Yes.
All right. And it requires, and it speaks to a secretariat, as you were saying, to support the work of the coordinator.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So as it relates to the filing of complaints, just take us through some of the steps that persons who are victims, what they should trigger, where should they interface with to be taken through the procedures to get justice.
Okay. Well, at our launch, we also launch our website, which is up and live. So any person who is a victim and can in fact engage the process, they can go on the website. In fact, we have a whole network, not only the coordinator rather, but in addition to the coordinator, we do have focal points, advisors in the faculties and in the halls of residence. So a person who is a victim can in fact reach out to the secretariat or to the advisor. The advisor will hold that person's hand and determine two things. One, do you want psychological support, counseling support? And if yes, we direct that person to the trained people in our system who deal with that. And secondly, do you want to make a formal complaint? If yes, we'll take that person through the process of making statements, engaging the disciplinary procedure, ensuring that a panel is constituted, and deal with all of that investigation and trial, and have a determination. Alternatively, notwithstanding our own mechanism that I've just described, victims are also free to go straight to the tribunal set up by the government within the Ministry of Gender. So,
Important point, Dr. Stanbury. So you're saying that in an instance where there has been an incident, the employee or staff member at the UWI or student does not have to go to the university first?
Well, they have choices, and that is what the law says. You have to have a mechanism in the workplace, which we have set up, but victims are not obliged to engage that. They can go either in parallel or separately to the tribunal.
Or they can go to the police if they wish, straight to the police.
Absolutely.
Hold the line for us, Dr. Stanbury. We're going to take a break and come right back.
Give up every illegal gun. Call the police at 119 or Crime Stop at 311. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
7:31.
Big sale now on at Cameron Industries. Up to 50% off quarter and 5/8-inch furniture ply and other items. Now available. Termite-resistant furniture ply, granite, quartz, and solid surface countertops. You don't want to miss these amazing deals. Visit us at Hatfield Mandeville or call us at 963-0628.
Deposit we have insurance. It's an account that come with assurance. Let me teach you why it's important to have deposit insurance. Just in case your bank crash dead, no need to put your hands by your head. Up to 1.2 million you get for all accounts that's affected. Yeah, one room you can start it, or throw a house party. Pay your mortgage with ease. JDIC is a smart win. Deposit we bring safety. JDIC them protect me. Bank and billing society protected. The flow you must get with. Protect your savings smart. We urging you to call me. Guarantee you need us. We take banking serious.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
At Design Privacy, we value relationships. Join our exclusive open DPO community and interact with privacy professionals. Share ideas, insightful challenges, and build career-boosting connections with expert advice at your fingertips. Get access to specialized tools, exclusive workshops, and case studies. Enjoy unparalleled networking. Join Design Privacy's open DPO community to expand your expertise and excel in your career. Visit opendpocommunity.com today and take your data privacy skills to the next level.
Well, welcome back to Nationwide this morning. NTM having a conversation with the registrar at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Donovan Stanbury, about the University of the West Indies revamped sexual harassment policy. Dr. Stanbury, welcome back to the program. Now, since the launch of the revamped policy, there have been reactions to it in the public domain. Somebody who is an alleged victim has spoken with the Gleaner to say that this is a grand waste of money, has indicated that it's a useful guide for inter-student allegations, but not for those more lasting cases involving sexual harassment of staff members by high-ranking officials who allegedly defend each other when reports are made. What do you make of reactions like that or criticism of what has now been launched by the university?
Well, two things. One, I don't know that is I mean, I respect people's opinion, obviously, but in terms of the reality, we have just launched the system. I think we should give it a chance to work, frankly speaking. And if you review the procedures for yourself, you will see that there is a fair, transparent, and open system that people can engage if they are a victim, if they are victimized. That's one. Two, we have just launched last week, so I don't know of cases where people have come forward and the system has not engaged them even before we launched the system. Indeed, and in fact, before we launched the system, we have had cases of sexual harassment, which we have used our traditional disciplinary procedures to deal with. And we have cases going through the system as we speak. The truth is that as administration, we are not in a position to comment on people's experiences unless people come forward and engage the system. Our responsibility is to put in place a system which we have and to ensure that the system works in a fair and unbiased way. And until you engage the system and go through with it, I really can't answer to those opinions.
And speaking of that, Dr. Stanbury, on the matter of until you make a report, there are also some alleged victims who are saying that, you know, they've shied away from making reports because nothing will come of it. Things are sometimes swept under the carpet. Is this something that you've heard on the campus in relation to those who have been sexually harassed?
Well, put it this way. My office deals with those cases on the campus because my office is responsible for dealing with the whole administration of disciplinary procedures and regulations. And I can tell you with every sincerity and every emphasis at my command that we have never had one case reported that has not gone through the system. So I don't know of the evidence of sweeping things under the carpet, frankly.
Notwithstanding the policy, Dr. Stanbury, is there a culture of sexual harassment at Mona?
I don't know that there's a culture of sexual harassment at Mona. What I will tell you is that the Mona campus, we have over 20,000 people every day interacting with each other, passing through the campus, working in that space. I don't think the Mona campus is a sterile environment that is going to be different from the rest of the society where these things are happening. But I would not say that there's a culture of sexual harassment. There are incidents, just as there are incidences of sexual harassment in the wider society.
Is there a culture of protecting senior officials or officials in positions of power at Mona in cases where they are accused of sexually harassing their subordinates?
I don't know of that, and that has not been my experience. And the administration of which I am a part, I don't know of one case where we have shielded anybody or refused to engage a process because of who somebody is.
Where this revamped policy is concerned, as it relates to victims, not victims, the alleged perpetrators of sexual harassment, are you comfortable that the policy affords them the protection in the same way it affords alleged victims a route to justice?
I'm comfortable that we have a policy that people are trained in gender justice, in psychology, in all of these things. Have worked tirelessly and hard in putting together. We have met all the criteria laid down in the law in terms of the procedures that we should have. We have invested not only in people who can administer the system, but we have made investment in our counseling apparatus, and we have people in place to help victims. And we have timelines in the policy and service standard in terms of the turnaround, when people engage the system, how soon an investigation starts and that kind of thing. I'm satisfied that we have the system in place. We have just started within this new framework of the law, the government law, and we are committed to making it work. And you can check us from time to time and see how we are doing.
Dr. Stanbury, pick a unit at random at the UWI where the leader of that unit is alleged to have sexually harassed a subordinate. What's the policy insofar as when an investigation is underway? Does the alleged perpetrator, are they separated from the job? What degree of separation exists between them and the alleged victim in that space?
Well, when a person makes a report, our responsibility is to ensure that the alleged perpetrator is given an opportunity to respond. We have a disciplinary proceeding that respects due process. I don't know that you can separate people from their jobs solely on the basis of an allegation. If the victim requires psychological and whatever support, we put that in place, and if the person is threatened and feels intimidated, we have measures to deal with that. But just to separate somebody from the job by the mere fact of a report, we have to accord due process to people.
When I say separation, Dr. Stanbury, what I'm talking about is the transfer. In other words, a small office would say 7 people then. I don't know if you have departments so tiny. The UWI is a vast place. And the boss is alleged to have sexually harassed one of the workers in there. So I'm saying, when it is that you have to separate them, move them from the close proximity that they share, what's the procedure for that, and how do you manage it so that reputations are not damaged before a tribunal returns a verdict, returns a finding?
Well, put it this way, when we have any particular case, we engage a specialist who, if the circumstance that you have, the scenario that you have just described, if that arises, we will take advice from our specialist if there is need to put people in a different space so that they can be comfortable and so on. So we rely on the advice of those who are trained to do those things, and we implement them.
In your time as registrar, at what level are sexual harassment claims greater? Between and among students, or between and among staff members, or between and among students and staff?
Well, the cases that we have dealt with are mixed. There are many incidents of students and students, incidents of students and staff, incidents of staff and students. In my recollection, I don't think there is any particular category that dominates the complaint, really.
Is the sexual harassment policy, the revamped one, is it at Mona, is it different in form from that which, say, they have in place at Kville over there in Barbados?
Well, as I said before, we do have a sexual harassment and prevention policy for the entire university system that was approved from as far back as 2016. The truth is that different countries in which the university is situated will have different national laws. So our overall 2016 policy is like a framework, and each country, in the case of Kville, Barbados, in the case of St. Augustine, Trinidad and Tobago, in the case of Five Islands, Antigua, those campuses would have to make the necessary adjustments to the framework policy in order to satisfy national legislation, as we have just done with our revamped policy.
And Dr. Stanbury, for the revamped policy that you have now, it has been issued to students already?
Well, as I said, we have just launched it last week. Part of the 14 million that this principal speak to involve not just the personal, although that's the bulk of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we are now going to embark on a massive public education campaign at our orientation for the upcoming 24-25 academic year. That will feature heavily. And we're devising mechanisms so that students and staff, one, are aware of the policy, and two, sign off to say that they have read and they understand what it means and the implication, and they are bounded to it. So all of those things have been put in place for the start of the 2024-2025 academic year.
In the way that there are so many things, last thing from me, Dr. Stanbury, the student handbook has everything in it, and people want everything to be in the handbook. Are you going to put even an abbreviated version of this in the student handbook, so at least everybody has a touch point for it immediately?
All of that is in the rollout plan, and as I said, it will not be just a policy that is there that gathering dust. Our students will get the abbreviated version, and we are devising something that they have to sign on to it and registration.
Excellent. Thank you this morning, sir. Thank you for your time.
Bless you. Bless you.
That's the university registrar, the registrar at the UWI Mona campus, Dr. Donovan Stanbury. Sexual harassment policy in effect at the UWI. All businesses, large and small, in the public and private sector, must have one in place by June 30. The Jamaica Employees Federation says, look, our big members have everything in order, but our smaller members are struggling to make the grade, and they say they want 3 more months, Donna. Mm-hmm. 3 more months to get their house in order. Let's see what the Gender Affairs Minister does, whose ministry is responsible for the legislation, the Sexual Harassment Prevention and Protection Act of 2021.
Listen up, motorists. Speeding burns more gas. So slow down. The life you save may be your own, and also that of your loved ones. Slow down. Save lives and money. The time by the Insurance Association of Jamaica is
7:47.
At Hawkeye, our mission is to deliver cutting-edge security solutions to help you keep track of the things you value most.
The temperature by Hawkeye is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay.
Invest in Jamaica and make your money grow. Invest in Mayberry Jamaican Equities Bond, a safe and purposeful way to invest. How? We carefully invest your funds in top local companies, empowering you to profit from multiple businesses, not just one. With a minimum investment of just $20,000 and an interest rate of up to 10.5% per annum, it's more than just growth. It's profit with purpose. Discover more at www.profitwithpurposeja.com or contact your investment advisor for full details. Profit with purpose. Invest with Mayberry.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business. Seven 49, Tony. All right. Yeah.
You go.
The government has settled negotiations on overtime and other key issues dealing with public sector compensation. The Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, says circulars outlining the terms of the new arrangements will be dispatched shortly. He says the new policy will resolve the inequities of overtime work versus duty allowance and create a unified framework under the new heading of extra work.
The minister was speaking at the annual general meeting of the Jamaica Civil Service Association last Thursday, and the finance minister says other concerns raised by workers in the public sector will soon be addressed as well. For more on those promises made by the finance minister at the association's recent annual general meeting, we're being joined by the first vice president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, JCSA, Clarence Freighter. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide this morning. Now, Dr. Clark said the new policy resolves the inequities of overtime versus duty allowance and has created a framework under the heading extra work. Could you explain what is meant by this?
Okay, so in the public sector, you have various means of persons doing extra work and being paid at various rates. Mm-hmm. So you have some persons being paid at overtime rates, some persons being paid at duty allowance, some persons being paid honorarium. Now, so honorarium is 10% less than the full overtime rate. And so we want to standardize the whole overtime situation because we believe that nobody should be worse off when doing extra work. So we are happy that the policy will be coming in force, and so that once persons from band 1 to band 12 does extra work, they will be paid the overtime once you have completed 40 hours work week. So we're happy for that.
So everybody will now be on the same rate as long as they do overtime work?
Yes. So your overtime is calculated on your basic salary. So whatever your salary is, then you get the time and a half for overtime rate. Irrespective, and here we're not talking about position. So under the 16-band salary scale, once you fall from between band 1 to band 12, then you would be able to get your overtime. Previously, it was about position, so only certain persons were able to work extra hours and be paid for it. And so this will address the inequity in that regard.
So, but I don't take it that all of your issues have been settled. We were indicating to our listeners that there were some other issues or other concerns raised that are soon to be addressed. What are those?
All right, but let me clarify that.
Mm-hmm.
We have, based on what the Minister of Finance would have said, we would have reached agreement on the vast majority of those items from as early as June last year. So while the minister is making pronouncement about us having an agreement, we have agreement in principle from last year. The only outstanding issue that was causing the hold-up was the payment of increment, because as you know that the government would have frozen increment at the implementation of the compensation restructuring, and that was unilaterally done. So we're saying that we prefer to see the action done than to hear the announcement. When you talk about passenger mileage, you talk about the retroactive mileage. All of those were agreed on in principle from last year. As a matter of fact, payment should have been made from the December quarter, and now we're in June. So we are more interested in the actual actual getting the thing done than pronouncement. We are no closer than we were a year ago.
So you're saying deeds, not words?
Absolutely.
All right, no, Clarence, work with me now. So previously, I worked in government for 2 years, and I remember looking at the salary scale. It looked like, there was graph paper they used in high school, Tana. Shit, this, that level, this, that. Does that still exist coming out of the restructuring exercise of the compensation?
No, the salary levels are compressed now. So you're moving from 300 and odd down to 16.
Right.
So that in itself is commendable.
Administratively, that's a huge leap, a step forward.
Absolutely.
All right, work with me again. I remember there were ladies. So as a traveling officer, I got my traveling every month. I put in my claim and I got my traveling honored. There were ladies in my office who they said to me that they got what they called walk foot allowance. They owned no car, but they worked I worked in public education and public relations, so they got a walk foot allowance. Does that still exist?
No, the government again has unilaterally discontinued payments in that regard. So what the unions would have done, we engaged the Ministry of Finance, and what they have agreed to in principle is that where persons like those incur costs, that those costs should be submitted to their accounts department for reimbursement. Usually, everybody will get a set rate for those. And we find that right now, there are persons who are carrying out the work of government and not being compensated for it. And until the government really implements some of the things that we have agreed on in principle, nothing has changed.
All right.
And that's a cry of public sector workers right now.
So let me get it clear. I thought then, based on what the minister was saying, and you can understand sometimes you're speaking in headlines, you don't get the details. So for the walk foot allowance, you're saying that is not now rolled into the monthly salary, but that's additional claim that you make straight to your supervisor.
No, it has not been rolled in.
Okay.
It has been discontinued.
Oh.
And the Ministry of Finance would have sent out a circular previously to say that irrespective of how you get to your destination, you can claim the mileage for it. They have subsequently sent out another circular to say that there was an error, because where they had taxi allowance, that was inadvertently included. And so you have double signals coming from the government, because we need for those persons to be able to claim for what is rightfully.
Because I was going to ask you if you're happy with the changed arrangement. Are you happy with the changed arrangement, or you prefer the status quo?
We are not happy with the change arrangement. We are not happy with the change. Matter of fact, the truth be told is especially traveling officers. Traveling officers are the worst affected under this new compensation restructuring. Traveling officers have not benefited from this process. A matter of fact, traveling officers feel as if they are worse off under this new arrangement.
So if back in the day, if I was going to Denby, for instance, Clarence, and I drove from Nepa in Crossroads, and I put you in the vehicle and Tawna is in the vehicle as well, I could claim for both of you as my passengers on my traveling. That's in the past.
So the government has unilaterally discontinued that. However, under the agreement in principle, it is being reinstated. And so what we want is not for us to just have the agreement in principle, but for the Ministry of Finance to document that agreement, and so that we can sign off, so that persons can start to benefit from the process. The fact of the matter is that while the Ministry of Finance drags out this thing, the workers are suffering. And what we want, the fact is, we have agreed, However, when we ask for the document to be provided so that we can sign off on what we agreed on, the wording in the two drafts so far does not, in some instances, represent what the agreement is. And when the union with the Ministry of Finance on the 6th of May, we were of the opinion that would have been the last meeting and everything would have been signed off so that persons could have gotten payment in this June.
Mm-hmm.
That has not happened, and we want to know what is it that is causing the Ministry of Finance not to be honoring that agreement that we have in principle by documenting it so that we can sign off.
Yeah, we need it in a circular then. So Clarence Freight, as we wrap, so you're saying then that overall, post the restructuring exercise, it's not that you are unhappy and miserable. You're just a couple steps away from harmony, you think?
Well, it's a little more than a couple. Because while these items that we have going on discussing in principle, where we have agreement, the vast majority of the anomalies have not been dealt with, none at all. So you have supervisor getting the same pay as supervisee, or in some instances, the supervisee getting much more than the supervisor. None of that has been touched.
My.
It is not a bed of roses.
Yeah.
The impression being created out there that everything is hunky-dory is so misleading. It's not true.
Well, we need to hear from you guys. We need to hear from you guys talking on behalf of your members. We're out of time, though, Clarence Freighter. Thank you this morning.
Not a problem.
First Vice President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, JCSA, Clarence Freighter, was trying to invite him to say, well, there you say more than a couple steps away from harmony, somewhere away, because the anomalies are still plenty across Jamaica next. Front Page was brought to you today by ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Clearing personal non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
8 o'clock.
From the mountainside to seaside, countryside to townside, inside and outside, it's across Jamaica this morning.
In Across Jamaica this morning, the Office of the Information Commissioner, OIC, has published registration fees for data controllers. Under the Data Protection Act, persons who hold, receive, use, collect, or deal with personally identifiable information on any individual are considered data controllers and must register with the OIC. Registration began on December 1, 2023, with a 6-month grace period which expired on May 31 this year. In a public notice published on June 2, the OIC outlined that data controllers have been organized according to 3 categories: company or public authority, partnership, and sole trader or individual. First-time registration fees for companies and public authorities is $25,000. Partnerships are required to pay $15,000, while the fee for sole traders or individuals is $7,500. Annual renewal fees are as follows. For a company or public authority, it's $15,000. For a partnership, it's $10,000. And for a sole trader or individual, the fee is $5,000. The OIC says no paper applications or payment of registration fees will be accepted at its office. Fees are to be paid by direct bank deposit or online funds transferred to the OIC's bank account. The account details are available on the OIC website at www.oic.gov.jm. That's www.oic.gov.jm. Data controllers must upload proof of payment on the My OIC portal before submitting their application. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, is strongly denouncing acts of violence against educators, school administrators, and students. This follows an incident last Wednesday at Vere Technical High School in Clarendon, where a parent attacked a teacher on the school campus. It's reported that the altercation stemmed from the confiscation of the student's bag by the teacher. JTA President Leighton Johnson says the incident is an indicator that the nation has lost its way.
The incident which took place at the Vere Technical High School last week, where a teacher was attacked by a parent, is just further evidence that as a nation we have lost our way. The Jamaica Teachers Association strongly denounces any act of violence against our teachers, our administrators, and our students. Schools are spaces that promote order and discipline, respect and tolerance. And notwithstanding the negative publicity brought on our schools by some students and parents, schools still remain beacons of hope. Therefore, as a nation, we must protect the school as arguably the last most stable socializing agency left within our society.
Mr. Johnson is calling on parents to support teachers in their goal to set proper examples for children where conflict resolution is concerned.
Parents, we need this partnership and we need you to be on board with us. We must be speaking the same language. We must be speaking in one voice. Our children are looking to us to be the examples so that they can grow in a world where they can be decent men and women who understand how to deal with conflicts amicably as they grow.
Leighton Johnson, the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association. Education Minister Favour Williams says a meeting has been arranged between the ministry and the school in light of last Wednesday's incident. And that's it for Across Jamaica for this Tuesday morning. I'm Tana Thomas.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure, reaching out for more, will always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone, taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams, every day helping you succeed. That's what Sagicor means. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
At Design Privacy, we value relationships. Join our exclusive open DPO community and interact with privacy professionals. Share ideas, insightful challenges, and build career-boosting connections with expert advice at your fingertips. Get access to specialized tools, exclusive workshops, and case studies. Enjoy unparalleled networking. Join Design Privacy's open DPO community to expand your expertise and excel in your career. Visit opendpocommunity.com today and take your data privacy skills to the next level.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs. Grab a bite and pay some bills. Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
The best Burger King with the best tasting burger under the sun. You deserve the best. You are number one. Best. Flame grilling, juicy whopper, cause you deserve it. Yeah, next level, awesome. That's how we serve it. Mama menu done your way. You got the taste rules every day. Flame grilled goodness, you deserve it. Great taste, well done. More flavor, fresh Burger King, best tasting burger under the sun.
Welcome back to Nationwide this morning. Have some time for your calls. The number is 630-9371-4, 630-9371-4, and our digital line is 618-8255, 618-8255. Are we still using our WhatsApp? I haven't seen the WhatsApp up on my screen in ages. Are we still using the WhatsApp, Jermaine? Do you know? Yes, we are. Yeah. Jermaine says don't call me. But, yeah, I need to find out because we used to get a lot of engagement via our WhatsApp as well. So, listeners, I'm going to let you know if we are still using the WhatsApp. So I can give you guys that number again. So for those of you who don't want to call but want to send in your feedback via direct message, you're able to do so. But our number is 630-9371-4 and 618-8255. I see over on our YouTube chat, Ricardo, is this Bacchus, saying, Dr. Dawes, I know you're a very busy man and a proud Jamaican, but please may I beg you, Ricardo says, come and speak to the people so that we know who are the, what this says, so-called dogs in our society. Okay. Reacting to the revelation made by Dr. Dawes on Sunday about that poison plot. Who is the first caller? Danny, good morning to you. Ooh. Danny, there's a feedback. Not sure if you have your radio on or something happening in your background. Danny?
Good morning, good morning.
Yes, go ahead. What's on your mind?
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm also good.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask this question. I heard they say that the opposition security personnel, what is name again, is Senator Bunting?
The opposition spokesman on national security.
On national security, thank you. He's politicizing the police. He's trying to politicize the police force, which sounds as if it's correct, right?
The national security minister, yes, he had written to the opposition leader saying that he likened it to political interference and that it was dangerous, the utterances of the senator. Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you this question. If a prime minister says, free police now go around and murder people.
Hold on, start again. I missed what you said.
Yes. If a prime minister says, free police now go around and murder people, how that sounds to you?
3 police, the numeral 3, that's what you said?
Fiwi.
Oh, Fiwi police.
Fiwi police, yes.
Uh-huh.
Now go around and murder people. How that sound to you?
That's a fair point. Where are you
That's a
heading
fair
with this?
point. So free police. So if it's not free police, whose police it could be?
Yeah, it's our police. The Prime Minister speaking on the Jamaica police force. But what's the argument? Where are you heading with this one?
So which police going around and murder people? That's free police not do it. Which other police doing it? That's free police not do it.
Where are you heading with the argument, Danny? That's what I want to understand.
When I heard him first with it, it comes to me that he is politicizing the police force.
Who?
The Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister said what you just said?
Yes, he said it a few months ago.
But why would you think that's politicizing the force?
What he said, free police, he was criticizing, he was making some criticism. And then he said, free police, now go around and murder people.
But why would that be considered politicizing the police force?
Yes, to me, because he said free police. That means some other police personnel.
But he's speaking of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and he's the Prime Minister of Jamaica. But why is that considered a politicizing of the police force? I don't understand that.
Well, to me...
Here's the difference in it, Danny. The argument being made is that you have a member of Parliament, right, who has singled out one police officer and spoken on a matter that is still very much before the courts. And it is in that vein that the argument is being made that it's political interference. But I don't get how you'd pair that with what the Prime Minister has said about Jamaican police officers are not going around and killing people.
He said it before Mr. Bunting get involved, He said it a few months before Mr. Bunting get involved the other day.
Yeah, but I'd have to go back and listen to the comment by the Prime Minister. That's the thing. I don't know of the comment you're speaking of, but based on what you're saying,
yes,
I don't get told that is politicizing.
Yes, he said it a few months ago, and I was wondering why he said that. He made that comment.
Mm-hmm. The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister of Jamaica speaking on behalf of the country. Yeah, the Jamaica Police Force, but I don't get how he's politicizing that. Yeah.
That means he was criticizing another. That means to say he was talking about another country then.
No. He's saying our police force, Jamaicans, us as Jamaicans, our police force.
As far as I understand, according to what did you hear the comment?
That's what I'm saying. I haven't heard the comment, but based on what you're saying.
Okay, I would like to check
right.
and list this for me.
Okay, I'm wondering if he's talking about us Jamaicans, or police force when he says the FUI.
Didn't come to me.
You didn't interpret like that?
No.
Okay, I see.
No, okay. God bless you.
All right, Danny, thank you so much for calling.
Good.
Who's next? Chris, good morning to you.
Morning, Tona.
Morning to you, Chris.
Right. I wanted to make an intervention from last night, but you're good for the morning as well. I think Kevin O'Brien Chang was spot on his comment.
His criticism of civil society.
Of the groups.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there are certain persons, they were elsewhere. And if I was the leader of certain group, I would want some persons come on my platform to address anything. When you listen to the constitutional reform meeting that was held at, I think, JC, and the comments, it was like those persons were speaking for opposition party. It wasn't like they were speaking for Jamaicans, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I would really not let some person speak on my platform. Perceptions beat reality. Mm-hmm. And the perception is that some persons are coming from some place way back when, before you were born. But I used to listen to RJR on a Sunday afternoon and listen to some person speaking from another platform, from another side of the mouth. Now they come to pretend that they are decent and good to be speaking on behalf of these other groups.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think Kevin was spot on. I think Jamaica for Justice has kind of watered down since Carol Boone's gone. I am not so in favor of what is happening around there either.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Those are my thoughts.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for that. Yeah, because I did hear Ricardo making the point too that it's not within their mandate, but it's true that you have times when some civil society that have a particular mandate or they normally are supposed to speak on certain issues, they go outside of that and speak on other things that are of national importance, which is fine. So when you hear certain things that the whole country is talking about, you expect civil society to speak on them too. And sometimes, they're silent, and it's as if you have to kind of draw them out of their chairs to speak on those issues. And yeah, people often call and wonder why that has to be the case. Yeah. So I see SH here saying, yes, sir, the silence is deafening coming from their end. And other persons are agreeing that what Kevin O'Brien Chang said last evening on Nationwide at 5 was so true. I see Leighton Campbell here agreeing. Others are suggesting certain names of certain members of civil society in the YouTube chat. I will not mention those names, saying where are those persons when certain issues are or have come to the fore, why are persons not speaking on them. And somebody says, Mildred Hamilton says, selectively reactive Tana. And other persons are saying, okay, Marlene, you leave the chat when certain people are on. Yeah. And I just got a message to say some of these callers are unhinged. Yeah. Speaking things how they see it from their perspectives. They're watching the space to making their own assessments and coming away with how they see things. Amelia here saying, good point, Tana. They're very selective with their criticism. Sad. And Marlene Grant says, I agree totally. And Queen D says, Tana, we're back broad, and then mentions a particular person of civil society, saying that's the person they want to talk. Sandy saying, I agree with Kevin. So many of you in the YouTube chat saying that you agree with what Kevin O'Brien Chang said last evening on Nationwide at 5. And Ashden Loney says, also has singled out a particular group and saying they're not good enough. And Dwayne Haynes says, so true. It's selective criticism, commentary, and outcry. And, Merlene Fitt comes in here and says, too much corruption on both sides. And YD says, as a person who vote for Jamaica, I agree with Kevin. Some of these people are too hypocritical, YD says. And then Carlene Smith, my friend, is asking, has NNN reached out to, not calling a name again, but to another member of civil society who is normally speaking on issues? And then she asks, isn't it the station that contact these persons to give comments? Not all the time. They often also put out their press releases on matters of national importance, giving their position or reacting to whatever has taken place. So, no. A lot of times too, it's the media doesn't take the first jab. They'll put out their release, and then you have times now when the media has called and they offer no comment on the issue. And Alex Mott here says, it is ridiculous how silent the civil society groups have repeatedly been on matters, Alex says, regarding the opposition. That's Alex's argument. And I can take a final comment. The final one will be Okay, who done it? Who's saying even the Rasta community is silent? Says who done it. Yeah, gonna take a break and come back with more.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A pure water would drink. The time by Pure Water is
8:22. Attention all data protection enthusiasts. Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM every Tuesday at 8:20 a.m. and Thursday at 8:25 a.m. for a new program segment, Data Protection Matters, starting June 4 today. Join us as we delve into crucial topics that will keep you informed and compliant. Hosted by Chuck Cameron, the founder of Design Privacy, your trusted partner in data protection. So don't miss out. That's every Tuesday and a Thursday morning. The times, Tuesday at 8:20 a.m., Thursday at 8:25 a.m. So stay protected, stay informed with Nationwide Radio and Design Privacy.
Data Protection Matters is brought to you by Design Privacy. We help you comply and build trust.
Welcome to Data Protection Matters, powered by Design Privacy here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm your host, Chantal Thompson. Today, we have with us Chuck Cameron, founder of Design Privacy and data privacy expert, who will walk us through registration, what does compliance look like, and why is the Data Protection Act important. As of June 1, 2024, we now have a Data Protection Act that is fully implemented. What does that mean for you? How does this act impact your business or your organization? We are going to spend some time together over the next couple of programs to break down the impact of the Data Protection Act, becoming compliant, and registration and gathering your registration particulars. The topical issue really is now registration. This is where Chuck Cameron, founder of Design Privacy, will talk to us about registration. But before we get into that, Chuck, why is the Data Protection Act important?
Let me ask you something. Who here listening remembers the Streets People scandal? A few of us should. Not a few, a lot of us should. It wasn't so long ago. Or, better yet, who of us who listening remembers the Coral Gardens massacre? Or, if we don't remember none of those, what about the Street People scandal already? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what was the Streets People scandal all about? Without going into the details, this is where it is alleged a state agency sought to clean up our environment because, ironically, I believe at that time we were expecting a visit from a member of the royal family. If I'm not mistaken, and more than likely I may well be mistaken, but we were just trying to clean up the city, and it was thought that we had to remove persons, and they actually put them in a truck and took them to the Redmond Lake. What was expected to happen after that, we don't know. That's one scenario. When you look at the Coral Gardens massacre, this is where you had again agents of the state round up persons wearing dreadlocks that believed in the Rastafarian way of life, round them up with a view to killing them. We don't stop there. There was also the Green Bay massacre or the Green Bay killings. Again, this is where we had a state agent round up young men, promise them jobs, and because of it is alleged again, because of their political persuasion, rounded them up, took them out to Green Bay, and a number of them were actually killed. A few of them escaped. You may be asking yourselves, what does this have to do with data protection? Mr. Cameron, What are you on the radio talking about? We're talking about it. What does this have to do with the Data Protection Act? Let me break it down for you. The government was able to use persons' personal data. They were able to identify where persons of a specific political persuasion lived. They knew their specific political persuasion, and when they were able to put those two together, they were able to find them and carry out their nefarious act. 1. 2. When you look at the Coral Gardens massacre, again, state agents knew where to find persons, knew how to identify them as a result of how they wore their hair and their religious beliefs. Their appearance and where they lived, they were able to be identified, picked up on Good Friday, which is now referred to in the Rastafarian community as Bad Friday or Black Friday. Many were killed and some tortured. The final one, as it relates to the street people scandal. Again, state agencies, it is alleged, let me put that in there again, knew where to find persons who were living on the road, and with access to that information, they were able to carry out their nefarious act. If the government didn't have access to personal data, if there were guardrails around it, that could not have happened. The Data Protection Act, and more importantly, the right to informational privacy, gives the citizens of Jamaica dominion, ownership over their personal data. No entity, government or private sector, can be in possession of anyone's personal data or use anyone's personal data without their authorization. That came out of the NITS decision. We now enjoy a constitutional right to informational privacy. The Data Protection Act, on the other hand, is that piece of legislation that now allows members of the private sector and government agencies to use our personal data and process our personal data, but they have set up guardrails to ensure that never again would data controllers such as government agencies and private sector companies use information for their purposes to the detriment of Jamaican citizens. The Data Protection Act, while people think it prevents persons from processing personal data, it's the opposite. It sets out the rules that must be followed to allow businesses and government to safely process persons' personal data without exposing them to real damage or real harm that we have experienced in our near history. That is what the Data Protection Act is all about. That is what the right to privacy is all about. We must start somewhere. Data Protection Act has established the Office of the Information Commissioner, who has responsibility for overseeing and ensuring that persons or entities that process personal data comply with the standards and the rules set out in the legislation. For her to be effective, or for her office to be effective, everyone that processes personal data must register with our office. Join us on Thursday, where we will look further at what registration is all about. Please enjoy the rest of the week and have a great one.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's discussion on the importance of the Data Protection Act. We hope you found our conversation very insightful. As Chuck mentioned, join us next week as we discuss registration and gathering your registration particulars. For more information about the Data Protection Act and guidance on becoming compliant, be sure to follow us on Instagram at design_privacy and connect with us on LinkedIn at Design Privacy. Also, if you're seeking expert advice, visit our website at designprivacy.io. We look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, stay informed and stay secure.
Data Protection Matters was brought to you by Design Privacy. We help you comply and build trust.
Time waits for no one. Open your NCBCM account at goipo.jncb.com today and be prepared for the next wealth building opportunity to arrive. The time is now
8:32.
Attention all commuters, your JUTC fares just got lower. Use your Smarter card today and pay only $50. Yes, only $50. Travel safe and hassle-free with the JUTC using your Smarter card. But wait, there's more. Get 3 free rides with your first Smarter card top-up before May 31. With your Smarter card, paying your fare is easier. Say goodbye to coins and hello to hassle-free travel. Don't miss this opportunity when you travel with the JUTC, your route to excellence. Conditions apply.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit accounts puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
The best Burger King with the best tasting burger under the sun. You deserve the best, you are number one. Best. Flame grilling, juicy whopper, cause you deserve it. Yeah, next level, awesome, that's how we serve it. Mama menu done your way. You got the taste rules every day. Flame grilled goodness, you deserve it. Great taste, well done. More flavor, fresh Burger King, best tasting burger under the sun.
A Healthier You is brought to you by Express Fitness, your goal or mission, and Horton's Pharmacy, a family tradition of dispensing and caring for 100 years.
8:34 on this Tuesday morning, Tuesday, June 4, 2024. This is A Healthier You. My name is George Davis. The topic concerns prostate cancer. It is the commonest cancer in Jamaica, as well as the leading cause of cancer-related deaths among adult men, of course. According to the Health Ministry, 304 per 100,000 persons are diagnosed annually with prostate cancer. A study among Caribbean men of African descent revealed there was a 270% increase in the disease among Jamaican men between 1983 and 2007. To talk about Men's Health Month and, how men can go about checking themselves for prostate cancer and getting the treatment that can prolong their lives, I'm joined by consultant urologist, Dr. Belinda Morrison. Good morning, Dr. Morrison.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
All right. So we're here, Men's Health Month, and talking about prostate cancer. I did give some figures in my introduction, but how common is this form of cancer relative to others?
It's the commonest. So if we look at all the cancers that can possibly occur, whether in men or in women, it is the number one diagnosed cancer in Jamaica. And certainly if we look in men alone, it is the commonest cancer. I mean, the top 3 cancers in men are prostate, first, lung, and colon. But overall, it is the commonest diagnosed cancer in Jamaican men.
Mm-hmm. And what is it about Jamaican men, especially those of African descent, that makes them so vulnerable to prostate cancer?
It's thought to be genetic reasons. I think, we know the genes regulate who we are and what we express and what disease we express. And there are certain genes that we know can increase one's risk of expressing certain cancers or diseases depending on race or so on. Well, it so happens that in blacks, there are particular genes that increases their risk of not only getting prostate cancer, but also the risk of getting more aggressive cancer. And really, it is true to say that all men, regardless of what their racial background is, are at risk for prostate cancer. I mean, if you go in the United States, prostate cancer is the second commonest cancer, only second to skin cancer. You go to other, countries, it's very common as well. But the truth is, if you look, for example, in a country like the United States, where you have persons from many different racial backgrounds, black men are always the leading ones to get the cancer, almost 2 times that of a white man. And they're more also likely to have aggressive disease, and they have a higher death rate from the disease than other racial groups. So it's most likely related to genetics and ethnicity, really.
Yeah, I was reading a report in one of the British newspapers on Sunday, which said that doctors were noticing an increase, an alarming increase in the incidence of cancer among young people, 30 and under, where this group never had the cancer at nowhere near the rate that they're seeing now. I asked that to say, is prostate cancer something that is alarming for Jamaican men only above a certain age, or men from 18 forward?
No, it's definitely older men. It's said to be a disease of aged males. And so it's a disease that you'll commonly see in men 50 and above. Although we recommend that you start checking at age 40, the highest rates are found exponentially as men get older. So no, it's not a cancer of the young male. Really, it's very, very unusual to see prostate cancer in young men. And when I say young men, I mean even men less than 40 years of age. I can think of a handful of men who have been diagnosed less than 40, and these were men that were not told to screen, because we don't generally tell you to screen less than 40. But these were men who said, listen, I think I have a high family history. I want to get my checks done. And they've been done, and they've been found to have significant cancer and been treated. But if we look at the data, even from Jamaica, the highest rates are above 50, and the incidence starts to increase above 40 as well, but you're not going to really see it in younger men, thankfully.
Yeah. What's the impetus behind the advice then? Since you notice it in large numbers, 50 plus in men,
Yes,
what's the impetus behind the advice to start screening at age 40?
Because when you look at autopsy-based studies, so these are studies in men who died for some other reason, and a post-mortem is done, and you examine the prostate, they have found that you have significant cases of prostate cancer in men 40 and above. So we say start screening in Jamaica, I should say, we suggest that men start screening at 40 just because the disease can occur there. Yes, the rates are much higher as you get from the 5th decade to the 6th, to the 7th and above, but we start at 40 because you can find early cases there, really. You really, really can find early cases there. And the best advice would be to start at that age in our population. In, for example, the United States, where they have a big melting pot, they're much, much more measured in their recommendations. So they suggest that men who are at average risk for prostate cancer, meaning that they don't have a family history and they're not black, they start at 55 and they stop at 69. So you're talking about, say, a Caucasian or Asian American who doesn't have a family history. Their screening period is 55 to 69. But they do point out that for black men or men who have a high risk, meaning a family history, you start at age 40.
Yeah, I remember when my way back in the day, my grandfather, he was said to have something called stoppage of water. And then years later, he died, and the official the autopsy said prostate cancer. So I'm wondering if
the
there
link between the two.
Yeah.
So stoppage of water just really means inability to pass urine, and maybe one of the commonest causes is an enlarged prostate. Not necessarily because of cancer, but just an enlarged prostate due to age. So many times when we hear people say in the past or even presently that they had stoppage of water, it's because they couldn't pass urine. The most common cause is what we call BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. But men always get it confused, and especially when stories are passed on from generation to generation. Once the word prostate comes up, people automatically think cancer. And the truth is, it's not necessarily, cancer. It may actually just be enlargement due to age.
Yeah, he died at 94, so he played a good innings.
So it's unlikely that he had cancer.
How likely is it, Dr. Morrison, that you go through your fourth decade, you screen and everything, you're good. Fifth decade, you're good. Sixth decade, you're good. But by 70, you hear that you have prostate cancer. Is
very likely. As I said, the rates increase as you get older. If you look at the curve, you just see the curve nicely going up. So the longer a man lives, the more likely he may get prostate cancer. It is true to say that some men who get prostate cancer as they get very, very old, meaning like in their 80s or so, it's not significant cancer, so it will never bother them. And for those men, we probably don't want to do any invasive treatment. But in younger men, you tend to find that more the cases diagnosed. And when I say younger men, I mean men 70 and below.
Yes.
Most of the cases diagnosed are significant cancers that, if left untreated, will cause a problem.
Yes. So one would expect that, given that prostate cancer is so common and the medical professionals have known this for so long, that the science where treatment is concerned is also advanced.
It definitely is. And let me just say, prostate cancer can be cured. The science is advancing in many areas, not just for curable prostate cancer, but also cancer that is advanced, because unfortunately a lot of men are diagnosed, certainly in our population, with advanced cancer. So the curative treatment options for prostate cancer are surgery, where the entire prostate is removed, or radiotherapy. How the science has advanced for surgery is that over the years, anatomy studies have discovered more about the relations to the prostate of the erectile nerves. And so when the surgery is done, we do what is called a nerve sparing operation, where we spare the erectile nerves in an aim to preserve the man's erections and his quality of life. So that's one major advancement that has occurred over the years. Another advancement is that the surgery can be performed in different ways. Traditionally, it's performed in an open approach where a cut is made in the lower abdomen. But now it can be done by use of a robot, what we call a robot-assisted laparoscopic technique. And if it is done robotically, the advantage is that there is certainly less blood loss during the time of surgery, and patients are able to go home quicker than if they may have the open approach. So it's minimal invasive, so less tissue trauma and overall better recovery for the patient. Radiotherapy has also made advances in terms of the types of machines that are used to deliver radiation, where it is specific to the prostate and minimizing spread to normal healthy tissue. So you're able to zone into where you want to treat and minimizing spread. So it's called intensity modulated or conformal radiotherapy. And some of the methods to treat with radiotherapy now can give higher doses over a shorter period of time. So patients don't have to be, going through treatment for very long periods of time. Typically, it's 8 weeks daily for 8 weeks. But with some of the options, they can do it maybe for a week or maybe a little bit longer than that. So there are advances. And for the man who has advanced or metastatic disease, definitely there are advances. There are advances where newer treatment modalities are out, which can prolong life. There was a time that we would say if a man was diagnosed with prostate cancer that has spread, his average lifespan would maybe be 24 to 36 months, which is 3 years, despite our best efforts at the various medications. Now we have many medications that are available that can certainly not only prolong life, but help improve quality of life, so less pain and less complications. And some of them are available to us here, even in Jamaica. So definitely there's constant research and science into the management of these patients.
As Jamaicans, especially those from rural areas, them have a bush can cure everything. And everybody have an uncle or a grandfather or somebody who say, no, if I eat this and drink this, I can prevent cancer. I can guarantee you that if you eat this, drink this, use this, you
Yeah.
will not get cancer. Is there any such a thing?
Yeah.
Can you avoid
And
prostate
you know what?
cancer?
It's a very interesting area of research in prostate cancer now. Well, I say cancers in general. How do we prevent it? And, the evidence has suggested in a kind of retrospective way that there are certain people who are lower risk of getting it. So we find that persons who eat healthy, who exercise regularly, and those who have certain foods in low quantities, like fatty foods, processed food, they are less likely to get it. But it's not an absolute science because there are persons who eat healthy and exercise and still get it. But because of that indirect evidence, prevention has been a hot topic in research. We are yet to have that exact formula or that exact agent that we can say this can do it. And the truth is, if we did have that, it would be it would be known by the world and being used by everybody around because so many men are diagnosed with prostate cancer every day. So it still is circumstantial evidence, and certainly nothing strong, nothing hard can tell us any particular agent, no herb, no bush, has been proven scientifically to prevent prostate cancer. What we would recommend as doctors is that patients still have a healthy diet because it all goes well for them in all respects. But there's nothing evidence-based to say we can give you this herb or that potion and it can prevent it.
Hear you on that. Well, that's all the time we have, Dr. Morrison. We could speak for a half an hour more on this very, very interesting topic. I want to thank you for your time this morning and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Consultant urologist Dr. Belinda Morrison there, speaking eloquently about prostate cancer. And she says it's the most common of all cancers. And men of African descent, you're particularly vulnerable. Mr. King, as a real 100% African man, particularly vulnerable. Yeah? We take a break and come back with more.
A Healthier You was brought to you by Express Fitness, your goal or mission, and Horton's Pharmacy, a family tradition of dispensing and caring for 100 years.
Make a plan to stay on top of your mortgage. Stick to it. Pay on time. The time by the NHD is
8:49.
The Birthday Club is brought to you by Burger King, the best tasting burger under the sun.
As I walked on by, in awesome wonder, you had to know why I did not respond to carry on. Love me in a special way. What more can I say? Love me now. Love me in a special way. What more can I say? Love me now. Love me now. 'Cause I'm special. Not the average kind who'll accept any line that sounds good. So reach into your chain of thoughts. Try to find something new. 'Cause what worked so well for you before, for me it just won't do. Love me in a special way. What more can I say?
time of the morning when we tell our friends on Facebook happy birthday. Happy birthday going out to Stephanie Collins, Mark Walker. Jermaine says Stephanie is his sister. Happy birthday to you, Stephanie.
Squatty.
Jermaine says
Hello, Stephanie. Good morning to you. Good morning.
Happy birthday to you, Stephanie. You're a VIB. Very important birthday here. Hope you have an amazing day. Happy birthday to Mark Walker, Marcia Henry, Mary Ann here on Facebook. Happy birthday as well to Noel Morgan, Tiffany Smith. This one says D. Reginald Jetto. Okay, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday as well to Brittany Mills, Tanisha Josephs, Melanie Edwards, Sasha Watson Sankey. Happy birthday, Sasha. Happy birthday as well to Denise Graham and Leslie Marsha. Happy birthday. Happy birthday greetings also going out to Shireen Duncan there at JSIF, celebrating your birthday today, Shireen. Happy birthday to you. Hope you have a really great day as well. And over on YouTube, Islander1 JM sending happy birthday greetings. This one says to my good friend Harriet Clark, happy birthday to you. Islander1 JM is telling you to have a great day.
The Birthday Club was brought to you by Burger King, the best tasting burger under the sun.
Some more birthdays. Happy birthday. This one says to daughter Rashay McKenzie in Montego Bay. May she be favored with more wonderful years and healthy years. Love her to infinity. Happy birthday to you, Rashay, from Angela James. And I did see two more birthdays. Oh, well, this one is an anniversary. Andrea Gale sending happy anniversary to her husband, Kenneth Gale. 36 years of marriage. And she says, our love together still going strong as ever. Love you, Ken, from Andrea. So happy anniversary to the Gales. And Lady Smiley sending happy birthday to Courtney, a.k.a. Springy, contract carriage operator in Ocho Rios. Happy birthday to you, Courtney, from Lady Smiley. She's saying to you, enjoy your day. God bless you. And Rich Richards sending happy birthday greetings to my sister, Marcia Seaton. Happy birthday to you, Marcia, from your bro, Rich Richards. Hope you have a really good day. And Fran D sending happy birthday greetings to Dad Ozzy. Yeah, 8 years old today, batting well. Happy birthday to you, Ozzy, from Fran D. And not seeing any more birthdays, but Herman also wishing the Gales happy anniversary to Mr. and Mrs. Gale. So that seems to be all the birthdays and the anniversary. So if you're celebrating your birthday today, happy birthday to you. And if you're celebrating your anniversary, happy anniversary to you as well.
To solve them, but you found the answer. So I gave it half a chance and learned the ways of love, my baby, and all that it has.
That's about it for the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to Nationwide This Morning, NTM. Thanks to our technical operator, musical maestro Jeremy King, to our super producer Michelle McRae Smith, and to our editor Kimone Thompson. Up next, the Consumer Hour with Norgay Banton, and at 10, Cliff Hughes on 9. I'm Tawna Thomas.
And I'm George.
Good morning.
My sugar and
You've just heard Nationwide This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM.
waiting for you.
fearless, and fair. Nationwide 90 FM.